Hello, Project Runway fans. Gold Derby senior editor Daniel Montgomery here, joined by my fellow senior editor Susan Wloszczyna, and we are going to talk about episode 6 of the design competition series, which aired as we're recording this last night. We're recording this on Friday, later than usual, but the episode was called Power Play, and it was a design challenge after my own heart. As someone who enjoys video games, the designers had to create a look for their own created video game character. It was good news for Hester Sunshine. She won the challenge. It was her second win of the season, but bad news for Rakan Aldin, who once again landed in the bottom 3 and this time was eliminated. So, first of all, Susan, what did you think of the challenge and what did you think of that elimination?
Well, it was interesting because most of the designers kind of reflected their own thoughts, their personal feelings. It became very touchy-feely in a way I never thought video game would be, but the way they set it up to kind of upgrade the, portrayal of women in video games. I mean, they tend, you know better than me, they tend to be more, femme fatales or vixens or whatever. But, just as things are evolving in the real world, the virtual world, I guess, is trying to evolve too. So, I was surprised to see, who did it? Oh, Venny did this choir church lady person with a cross on her leg, and
and a beret on her back or something. It looked like a turtle shell.
yeah, that's what they said. And I'm not saying that's a bad idea if it was something that he could put forth that made sense, but it didn't. And that was declared old lady because there was a lot of lace and white and blue, and it just looked like she was joining a Christian army or something. But if that would be cool, but instead this was a savior of the world, and it's like, I don't know. Anyway, but he didn't fare so well this week after doing quite well last week, though, with a sneaker look. So
yeah, I love the sneaker look. So I'm glad that they didn't eliminate him. If he hadn't done well more consistently throughout the season, I probably would have sent him home for that look.
Yeah, but it was very serious. It was just. I think video games are supposed to be fun. I don't think they're supposed to, change the world that much.
Well, I think it is such a big deal because these designers are designing for women, and women in video games been a very contentious topic in recent years, and especially after Gamergate, there's more of a sense that the sexism women face in not just the games themselves, but in the actual industry. It's a significant issue, and I think you could see that online anti-women sentiment trickle into certain political campaigns that happened a few years later. Mm-hmm. So, I do think there's a lot going on in video games, especially nowadays when there are so many different games on so many different platforms of so many different kinds, that I really appreciated that the designers thought outside the box. I was really worried that everyone would just be thinking about, okay, Leela mentioned, the game I played was Mortal Kombat. I thought everyone was going to think, okay, all the women are just like a strip of fabric and a katana or something would be, that's how you dress for a video game. But they all really thought outside the box. And even the ones who didn't work for me, I thought, okay, at least you put some thought into this. I appreciated that.
Yeah. Who did the one? Oh, it was Jamal. Did the James Bond as a woman, but she might as well just have been a Bond girl because unfortunately he didn't really, hide the fact that she had some cleavage there. And
Yeah, yeah.
said, did you look for a bra?
Yeah, I didn't like that look. I agreed with the judges that it was a little reductive. It's like, okay, you're gonna create a strong female character, so you put her in a man's suit, and you still have the cleavage showing, which wasn't his intent. He did mean to have something under it that would complete the look, that would have been much better. But it was still just, I mean, it's the second week in a row that he, planned on doing something that he couldn't finish. And this time it was a 2-day challenge. Right. So, yeah, I really do think that I probably would have eliminated him, although I personally would have worn that jacket. I love that suit jacket, actually. It had all these pockets and zippers. It was really cool, but not great for the challenge.
No, and that model, she got dissed by who was it that?
Oh yeah, it was
Nadine.
Nadine.
Yes, I'm glad, they're treating her better. Like he was asking her advice, supporting him. So not treating her like, walk. Can't you walk? So that era of this season is over, hopefully.
Yeah,
but I like Garrow's SMN,
that was great. Yeah.
And she wore that Mimi wore that like she was born to wear that, and the whip and everything, and it was fun. It wasn't like off-putting or nasty, but then they had to think about, the challenges, we're trying to upgrade the image, and this is a cliche and blah blah blah. But Nina liked cracking that whip out there.
Yeah, I was so, because before, when we first heard what the challenge was going to be, in the preview for last week's episode, and they said like, it's going to be like a video game character, I thought, okay, Garrow Sparrow's got this in the bag. It's like that so fits with his design aesthetic. But then when he said like, I'm going to go with like a fashion dominatrix, I was so worried. I was going like, oh no, don't just do that. But he created, like, it was just such a modest look relative to what you would think of for a dominatrix. Like, there wasn't much skin showing. It had the styling. It was more playful. It wasn't
right. No, it wasn't
overtly sexual.
Yeah, and but I thought Hester would get by because she has more of a sense of whimsy. She's in touch with that side of her and more playful. So she didn't But she did say at one point she was going to put mirrors on that sweater, and that never happened. I don't know if that would have been good anyway, because, I don't know if it would work very well as a video game person, with having reflections. And so you'd have to draw extra things so they reflect. I don't know. Maybe someone told her, no. But I kind of like Bishme had immunity, and he made it that Queen of Hearts, and that was fine. The crown though should have gone.
And honestly, like the shape on the hips, which is supposed to have the kind of like that outward that heart shape, it was so like crumpled on one side. It looked like it was just misshapen, and I was like, ugh.
Yeah, but it kind of had a wow factor. If it was a little more refined, yeah. So. And he didn't have to, and he was neither up or down. But no, it was good. He tried to, that's when you have immunity, you go for it.
Yeah, I didn't think Hester deserved to win though. I think she deserved to be safe. But I think she nailed the challenge. Like I can really imagine that character in a video game that she created, and it really fits her sensibility too. I just didn't think there was a whole lot to it. Like she put ruffles on a sleeve, and there were like plastic cutouts on pants, and it felt like that was most of what she did. And so I liked it, but I thought that's not the one I would have given the challenge to.
Well, I liked when Elaine said it was virtual reality Wakanda wear, or whatever she said.
As soon as she said that and the model did that, I was okay, I can see it a little bit better.
No, I liked that she put that on that model because she could pull it off. Not every other model could do that, so it was to her benefit she had her. But Then Elaine said it's tacky, and I'm like, tacky? Well,
I mean, it's
it's a video
Hester.
game.
Yeah. And it's Hester that's kind of her aesthetic in a good way. Like she really leans into that part of her personality that's really kind of playful and kind of whimsical. Like it's a whimsy overload with her, and I think that has worked better than I would have thought earlier on in the season.
Yeah.
Like earlier, she seemed like a train wreck at the beginning of the season. She was all over the place. She was picking the wrong fabrics all the time. She was fighting with her team, and it seemed like she was completely out of her element on the show. And then after the third week, she wins that challenge, and it's just on and on and on. She's been really, really rock solid. I actually think this might have been my least favorite look from her in the last like 3 or 4 weeks, and it was still good.
Yeah.
It just wasn't my personal favorite.
Well, she doesn't get in her head as much as the other ones. I think she knows herself. She knows her aesthetic. She just does variations of kind of kooky, but kind of cool, but still sort of practical looks, and she adds little touches that catch people's eyes, like the jetpack, which I don't know what was in there. It wasn't a jet engine or whatever, but
it looked like she just crumpled some like it looked like the paper you put in like gift bags.
Yeah. But now the one I'm still not sure of is the one Tessa did. Now her reasoning was she wasn't going to go cliche. She wanted to, and again, her father, I didn't know there were Millers still, but her father's a Miller, something from the Middle Ages or something. But good for him. And she, wanted to reflect that now she's the Miller's daughter and she's doing this in a video game. And I don't know what you would play with that, but grinding a lot of bags of flour, I don't know. But it wasn't bad. It was interesting and different. And she didn't, do everything, it's better than the James Bond look or whatever else anyone else was doing. So
yeah, this was one we disagreed on when we discussed this earlier. She would have been my choice to win the challenge. I think when they showed her illustration before the model came out, I could totally see where that character fits into a video game. And when the model walked out in the outfit and it had a reveal, as
Brandon was practically peeing himself because there was a reveal.
and she lets down like the overalls and to have an apron. And what I liked about it is that there was it didn't just look like an overall with like a work suit. It was that, but it also had it was styled and constructed with a lot of sophistication and complexity that gave it such visual interest, and also gave it interest like almost like it was digitized on her, which was really exciting to me. But I could see her in the age of like Minecraft and Farmville, The Sims, all these simulation games that are about building and about creation as opposed to just like action adventure. I could see that character in a video game, on the cover of a video game tomorrow. I was so, and I don't know exactly what the game could be, but I know there are so many where I could see that character fitting in. And so I love that look.
Well, Nina, it's funny because she's now the biggest fan of Hester because she said, I love your kitsch, and not I don't think she would say that everyone who tried to go a little bizarre, but she admires what she does. And I think she does have a taste level that she doesn't go overboard. I mean, there is a rare wearability to whatever she makes, and it makes the model wearing it look good. So
it's playful but functional in a way that I really like. So like if you compare what she does, these kind of not outlandish but a little bit out there kooky garments, and compared to like say what COVID did for the unconventional materials challenge, which was kooky, but it was like it was kind of a disaster. So like there's she has a refinement to her aesthetic that really brings it across to the judges, I think. And after she won her first challenge, I really feel like that was her breakthrough, where she's like, okay, they know what I do, they like what I do. She just decided, I'm going to lean into my personality and just deliver these things that are me. And she's been doing that, and in a way that has been, with enough restraint that, she hasn't gone completely crazy. Although from the preview from next week's episode,
yes, no, well, we won't spoil that. They can read my item.
And then there was, alas, Rakan, who was sent home. I honestly, I could definitely see his look in a video game, though I don't think it wasn't that innovative for a video game character to have that kind of like tight spandex kind of look. I do think I did like the idea of it in general. I thought it looked good from like the waist down, from the waist up, and all the stuff going on at the top of it.
He's done that too much with all they would say choking her, and it did look that way. So, but he's using materials that seem wrong a lot of times. Like, I think he has a lot of material problems, if I recall. So, you don't just take anything, so, but from the preview they had, I thought everybody was going to do a red outfit. Thank God they did.
Well, they were all buying red outfits from Mood, or red fabric from Mood, but then Christian was like, you all have red. Why is everyone there are other colors besides red?
I like green, I like yellow.
Yeah. And there are so many other colors in video games. Like you know how many pixels that are, my computer is capable of and my television screen is capable of? Come on, bring on some more color.
But
I didn't think he was the worst though, Rakan. I thought, it was messy and it was unfinished and a little bit not too original. So I'm not mad that he was eliminated for that. But I think Jamal had much bigger problems. Although maybe Jamal has more potential once he figures out how to dial it in and like to set a plan that he can finish instead of going forward with these ambitious designs, and he ends up sending something incomplete on the runway 2 weeks in a row.
Right.
Just edit himself down by a couple of ideas and really refine something. Because again, like I said, I would totally wear that suit jacket.
Okay, well,
with a shirt under it.
Well, get his number from Bra. But they're not making that one. They did make the bomber jacket from last week. It's $300 on the website that is selling it. I don't think so. Not for me.
Yeah, I like that jacket, but not that much.
Okay.
But I'm a very thrifty shopper.
Yeah. Well, next week it's going to be, they have to make something, embrace elegance. Like, okay.
Yeah, that seemed like from the preview, it seemed very
ephemeral.
General. It's very general and very vague. Like most of these challenges tend to be pretty specific. And it's like, make something elegant. It's like, well, yeah, this is Project Runway. Give me some more direction.
Now, it was nice they showed them taking that ferry, but I still waiting for one more, image of Swatch and Moon. I feel bad for him. He was, it's been a long time, 16 seasons for him to pop up and say hi to everyone, but not anymore, apparently.
I hope we see him again. I keep forgetting to look for him when they go to Mood, and it's like, actually, as now they're down to the top 10, and we have fewer and fewer contestants on the show. Maybe instead of trying to cram all the contestants in with all that screen time, they'll have time for a Swatch cameo. So,
do you think Hester can win? I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, she could change her mind from that preview too, because that happens.
Yeah, that happens a lot where we see like, oh, this is a terrible idea, and then they're like, okay, I completely changed my design. And it's
right. They're just messing with us. So
yeah, they do a lot. Yeah,
but I mean, she could. I mean, if Nina
I do think she could,
on board on the Hester train. So
I think her bit, because I think I don't have her in my current top 3 predictions. And what I think is that she is at the greatest risk of because eventually, elimination or winning a challenge won't get you immunity anymore by the time it gets to later on in the season. And I feel like Hester is the kind of designer who could have just such a bad week Like her style can just veer a little bit off into complete cartoon. And like if she has even one of those bad weeks, then she could be out just like in a snap.
Well,
but if she makes it to the finale, I can't imagine a designer who's going to have a more cohesive collection than she will.
Yeah.
Because she can do 40 different looks that look 40 different ways, but they will all still feel like her because that's what she's been able to do. So I think if she can get that collection shown, then she has a really good chance of winning.
But just her outfits, it's like rompers for grown-ups. Which I don't mind, you know. It works for her and not for me. But I think right now, I think Tessa, you know, stands a chance among the women. I think people like Sonia Renee was strong. She can be strong. But I think she does a lot. Her looks kind of look alike, so more than some of them. And I think I like Garrow a lot. I mean,
I think Garrow's going to make it pretty far.
But Sebastian, he was like on top, and now
he's been safe. He's been safe the last week. He should not have been safe for that
Aladdin.
Yeah, that it's terrible. But I think that's one of those, like, okay, everyone has a bad week every once in a while.
I can't remember what he made for this challenge at the moment.
I don't either. They didn't give him a lot of screen time, and he was one of the safe designers. So I guess they figured there's not a lot of drama with Sebastian this week, so we're not going to give him a lot of screen time. So I still have him in my number one spot to win. He has been consistent, and Tessa has been consistent, so she's also I think she's my number two. I think I might still have Renee in my top three, just because they're consistent and they've won challenges, and I feel like and they have like the skill set of really just construction.
She can make a good outfit, really.
Yeah. But I put Hester right up there in my top 4 or 5. And if she has another strong week with immunity, I'm definitely gonna have to move her into my top 3.
All right. Well, I got a vote too. So you have something to reflect. Yes. So I will do so to help out. So.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining me, Susan, and thank you everyone for watching us. We will be back next week to discuss the next episode of Project Runway. In the meantime, hit like and subscribe on this video to see more Project Runway recaps in our Project Runway playlist, and come to goldderby.com to make your predictions for Project Runway every single week. A new prediction for every single episode, including who will win the show at the end of the season. Thank you very much, and we will see you again soon.